Hi guys, it is April from Getting Hooga With It. Today I'm here to do my August favorites. I've had a really good month and I want to share the very best of the best with you. So I've got a little bit of makeup bits, a book, lots of experiences this month as well. So let's get into it. So let's start out with a makeup favorite. This eyeshadow palette I've been obsessed with for a very long time. I've had this for over a year now. I'm telling you, I get so much use out of this. This is the Tartelette In Bloom palette, and it just has everything. All of the colors you could ever need are right here. There are a couple of colors, as you can see, that are very well loved. And then there are others that I don't use as much. I don't use really dark colors all that much, although I really do like this last one, Leader. But the ones that I seem to use the most are Jet Setter, Rocker, Smarty Pants, Firecracker, and then Flower Child. And I just think, although Sweetheart and Rebel I've been using a lot more, so if you're into those like reddish kinds of shades, I swear this palette has every single like look you could ever want in here. If you need a good eyeshadow palette, I would definitely recommend Tartelette In Bloom. Okay, so a couple of experience favorites. The first one is kind of me. Libby had a lot of health issues this month and it was very scary. We discovered that she has heart issues. She's a Cavalier. They're very prone to having mitral valve issues. Essentially, one of her valves just doesn't work as well as the others, and it's upsetting. We found out this month about that, and then she had a UTI. She landed in the hospital. The experience of all of that was not in any way a favorite, but I just appreciate her even more, if that's even possible. She's the sweetest dog in the entire world. I very much doubt I could ever have another breed other than Cavaliers now, because she is 10 years old and she is just the sweetest little chicken heart of the world. I just love her so much. I'm so glad that she pulled through, because I really did think that she wasn't going to. It was very scary. I was kind of unhinged. Yeah, she's just part of the family, and I am totally attached and in love with this dog. And if you are looking for a loyal, chilled out, sweet dog that likes to cuddle a lot, look no further than the Cavalier, because that's exactly what she is all about. I just love her like crazy. So Libby is most definitely a favorite this August. Another favorite is our Niagara-on-the-Lake trip. So all of Libby's issues happened the week before our Niagara-on-the-Lake trip, and I honestly was trying to cancel the Niagara-on-the-Lake trip. I just didn't think that we were going to be able to go, considering she was so ill, and I didn't want to like put her in my parents' hands and then in case they needed to, I don't know, go back to the hospital or heaven forbid put her down. I didn't want them to have that experience. Luckily, she got a lot better very quickly, so that made me happy, and we were able to go on our trip. And Barry had planned this whole thing. This was my birthday present from him, and I didn't plan anything, and it was the most lovely experience. I didn't know what to expect. I knew I was going to drink some wine, because Niagara-on-the-Lake is known as, you know, wine country for sure. And I was going to see Beyoncé. But other than that, I had no expectations at all, and it like far exceeded my expectations. Know when you need a vacation so badly and you don't even fully realize how desperately you needed it? I needed this vacation so badly. It was so wonderful and relaxing. I totally, I didn't have my phone with me Barely at all. All of the footage that I'm going to show you is all from Barry, who took his phone along with him. I made a point of just not carrying it around and just not connecting with social media or anything. It was really good. So if you are going to Niagara-on-the-Lake, I highly recommend it. We stayed at the Brancliff Inn. So this is a bed and breakfast. Apparently there are like something like 300 bed and breakfasts in Niagara-on-the-Lake, but Barry found this really cool bed and breakfast that used to be a school. This is a very, very old building. I think it was built in 1800s. I want to say 1890, but it could have been before that. And it was a school. And so it was so fascinating to go through and see all of these beautiful images of the school as it was being built, and then all of the classes that went there. It was very interesting, for sure. I really, really loved it. And the experience was really nice there. We had a room that was really neat. It had like a little sitting area with a fireplace and the bathroom and everything, and then you went up some stairs and that was where our bed was. It was very lovely. So we stayed at the Brancliff Inn, and then we got there on Thursday. We didn't do very much on Thursday. I think we went to a pub and just chilled. And then Friday we went to Fort George. Barry and I love going to museums, and anything historical is totally up our alley. And Barry is able to like absorb the facts in a way that I am not. So if he was here right now, he would tell you everything about Fort George. But this is one of the areas where the War of 1812 was fought, which was very interesting to me. I was really fascinated. There was lots of demonstrations of the, well, fake soldiers firing muskets and stuff, and it was really, really neat. So I'm really glad we did that. I didn't even know Fort George was in that area. I didn't know anything about it. And I'm glad we did that. Then Friday was also our wine tour. So we had this man come and pick us up, as well as some other couples in this big van, and we went on our little wine tour. So the first stop that we went to was Jackson Triggs. I'm not sure if you guys would recognize some of these names if you are from like the US or the UK or whatever, but some of these wineries are really well known in Canada. So we went to Jackson Triggs first, which is a more modern, more relatively new winery, and it had this really cool modern building. It was very, very beautiful, and we had the whole tour of how wine is made, and it was really interesting to me. And then we also went to Rife, which is another vineyard where I think it's a German family that owns it, and I believe it's like 6 generations that this winery has been owned, and so they have come from Germany, and it was delicious wine. So I loved all of that experience, and then we ended at a little restaurant and had dinner there, which was really nice, and we had a lovely little group of people with us. They were a bunch of couples, and they were all really nice. I think we were the youngest there. It was definitely like Niagara-on-the-Lake is a place where you go. There are a lot of retired people living in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and honestly, I would too. It's so stunning. The houses are the most beautiful houses I've ever seen in my life. They were gorgeous. All of the homes were stunning. So that was Friday. We had a little bit of drinking and that was wonderful. Then on Saturday, Barry and I had a little bit more drinking. We went to a couple more vineyards. We went to Enniskillen, and we went to Wayne Gretzky has a winery, and it was good. I wouldn't say it was my favorite. Enniskillen was stunning, and I think we had some of the best wines that we drank was at Enniskillen. So if we ever go back, I think we'll be spending a lot more time there. And then on Saturday night, we drove over to Buffalo, New York to go and see Beyoncé and Jay-Z. It was the On the Run 2 tour, and it was the best concert I have ever been to. Ever, ever, ever. It was amazing. So there were a couple of opening acts. There was Chloe and Halle. They're younger girls. I think they look like they're like maybe 17 max, and Beyonce's kind of like taking them under her wing. They sound a lot like Destiny's Child. And then there was DJ Khaled, who I thought was horrible. Everyone else loved him. Like, the crowd was going wild for him. I thought he was really terrible. He kept talking about things like, I've never been to Buffalo. I went to a steakhouse and it was amazing. I'm like, why are we talking about what you just ate? It was so weird. And then he would do this little dance thing, and it was just bizarre. Barry was just kept telling me, like, he's a hype man. I'm like, you don't need a hype person for Beyonce and Jay-Z. They are the hype. You don't need someone to. Anyway, and then the concert started, and it was the best. It was the best, and it was so fascinating because I went to the first On the Run tour, and I didn't know that. So Beyonce and Jay-Z have had problems in their marriage. I believe Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce, and that's what Lemonade is all about. That is also what 444, Jay-Z's album, is all about. And I didn't realize that the first On the Run tour, which I saw, was their attempt at coming back together after he had cheated on her. And it was so fascinating to kind of look back and think back about that tour and how they were together, and you could really tell that it was like a chance for them to connect again. At the very end of that concert, they had a lot of family photos and everything on the screen, and video of their lives together, and they would just stand and watch it. And you get a lot of like little glimpses into their lives. They're very private people, and they only really reveal things about their lives through their music, and then at their concerts they reveal a little bit more through their videos and stuff. But it was so remarkable. It was like a real production. It was just out of this world. Barry is not really a Beyonce or Jay-Z fan like I am. He's more of a Rihanna fan, and he said that it was the best like production that he'd ever seen. So I was so happy. I was so happy. And then we came home. On Sunday morning we left, we came home, and that was the whole trip. And I've talked about that trip for a really long time, so I'm sorry, but it was just so good for me. It was so needed, so wonderful. Okay, so the last favorite for you is a book. The best book that I've read in August, was Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. This is now kind of in the running for best book I've read all year. I loved it that much. I just loved Eleanor as a character, and learning about her history and peeling this onion, this complicated person, was just truly a privilege. And I loved her relationships in here. All of her relationships with everyone in this book, to me, was so fascinating. The writing was just out of this world. I will read anything Gail Honeyman writes. I really will. I mean, she had so much success with this book, and I feel a little bit worried for her because, you know, when authors' first books are just wildly successful, and then they have to have that pressure on them with a second book, and I just don't want that to happen to her. So hopefully she's not putting too much pressure on herself and she's just writing at her leisure. If she comes out with a book in the next 10 years, we'd all be happy, but no pressure. So loved it, loved it, loved it. Those were my August favorites. It's short and sweet list, but I talked so much about Niagara-on-the-Lake that, yeah, it was so necessary. So yeah, August has been absolutely amazing. Let me know in the comments below what your very favorite thing you did or saw or read. What was the best thing about August for you? I would love to know, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.